Hello, everybody, and happy Monday. If you were, whooping it up this weekend, I hope that you didn't whoop it up so hard that you can't come hang out with us today because we got a lot to talk about. Starting with Real Housewives of Orange County. If you're like me, the lies are sticking with me. I'm still thinking about them. We're going to talk about where we stand on who is lying and who is not lying when it comes to the Orange County of it all, and also which Real Housewife of Orange County defended Katie. Yes, you heard that right. Going to tell you all about it. Also, keeping on the OC train. What we're not going to do is disrespect Kiki, Monique, okay, or content creators in general. So I'll tell you why I'm feeling that in my spirit to discuss that today. Sonja Morgan, her townhouse, baby, it's the townhouse as we know it no longer. I'm going to tell you the little bit of a surprising update in news in regards to Sonja Morgan's townhouse, and also which Real Housewife of New Jersey do I, Christian Grey Snow, owe an apology to? I'll tell you all about it. So come in, get seated, get comfy, tell me about your weekend, and let's get caught up. So excited to catch up with y'all. Up first, we're going to start with OC because have y'all ever watched like a documentary, and it just like sticks with you? And oftentimes for me, it's like the dark documentaries, like, for example, the Amy Bradley documentary. That messed with my head for days. You want to know what else is messing with my head for days? Liergate and Real Housewives of Orange County season 19. I go to bed and I'm like, who's lying to us? I wake up, I'm like, who's the liar face? I still don't know. And the interesting thing about why all these layers of lies and the Orange County storyline in general are so interesting is because it was so seemingly layered and confusing even for the women in the moments of filming. But that confusion has only continued as the episodes are rolling out through, speaking out on social media and through the women doing their traditional press interviews. Because, a lot of times these seasons end and the ladies do have a little bit of resolution or they know where the storyline goes. And, we at home have to sit and watch it play out. It's feeling like the Katie of it all, maybe everyone's still left feeling how they felt about her, maybe without proof, because no one's saying anything definitive. And other than, Katie did send Tamara flowers. I don't think she would have done that if her and Tamara were on the complete and total outs. It's not like she's sending Shannon flowers, But just saying all that to say, the viewers, for us at home, it makes it so hard to determine where we stand and what our predictions are, And so that's kind of where I'm at right now. I feel like one day I am believing, Gretchen or maybe, and then the other day I'm believing Katie. And then the other day I'm believing maybe neither one of them meant to screw each other over. And this is just a mix-up. Like, I can't remember another, situation in the Real Housewives world in years past where it's kind of up to us viewers to determine who and what we believe and what we think is right. And I genuinely can't find my footing, and I was talking about how that makes it even more confusing and hard to do as these women are out doing press and, sharing their thoughts as they also watch the episodes roll out. And speaking of that confusion, for example, guess who is defending Katie and literally like kind of saying that, they basically are there's a backfiring on the ladies of Real Housewives of Orange County because fans love her. That is Tamara Judge. Yes, you read that correctly. Tamara Judge is basically saying, look, she's kind of backtracking on the Katie hate a little bit. And she said, this is all reported by All About the Real Housewives, All About TRH. So if you want to check it out, go over to their website, or they have a podcast over on Her App. You can listen to them there. It says, Tamara Judge is not holding back when it comes to sharing her thoughts on the growing tension between Real Housewives of Orange County, Shannon, and Katie. Tamara says, I think she doesn't have a whole lot going on in her life right now. Talking about Shannon being focused on Katie. And she says, I think that she doesn't have kids at home. She doesn't have a husband or a boyfriend. I think she's trying to make the best of what she's got. And I think it's a little over the top. Oof, that was a little ice cold. She also says, the whole thing is ridiculous in my mind. Yes, Katie did some things. Yes, Katie repeated some things. But she says, you will all see how that plays out. And I honestly think I have not seen Katie since the last time we filmed together, but we have DM'd back and forth. I know what it's like to be an outsider with these girls and how hard it can be. I think it's backfiring. I do think the fans love her. And I think whenever there's a gang up like that, it doesn't go over well. And there's more to come on that, but I cannot say more right now. Did she mess up? Yes. Tamara says Katie did mess up. Absolutely. Is Katie a terrible person who's a danger to society? Tamara says no. So, very interesting to see Tamara speaking out in favor of Katie. And I have a couple feelings on this. One feeling and one thought is, are you doing this on the heels of you literally just admitting that you're surprised to see the fans supporting her and that it's kind of, coming back on you ladies because y'all piled on too hard? So are you jumping ship now because you see the fans' reaction? Like, that's fake as hell, but I also can't fault her because at least she's, I guess, kind of admitting it. Or are you changing ship maybe because we saw the way that she was speaking about Shannon just now, saying she doesn't have kids at home, she doesn't have a man. You don't have to say all that. Like, that's just, you're trying to get to someone. On that note, could this be a strategy move from Tamara to really just go back at Shannon, to team up with the girl that, Shannon hates the most? It's kind of what she did with Alexis, right? So for me, it's hard to kind of figure out where Tamara's coming from in this situation. However, she is right in that the ladies absolutely have gone too hard on Katie. We've talked about that here before. I've also said too that Shannon's reactions and comments and action, towards Katie have consistently, to me, felt disproportionate to their issues at hand. So I really, I can't decide where I'm standing on this one, y'all. Is what I'm trying to say, and it's honestly even hard to talk about because I feel like if you believe one of them, you're immediately trashing the other, and then vice versa. And I don't want to be that way. I just genuinely don't know what happened. And that's why I also said, is there a possibility? Is there a world where this was some sort of miscommunication? This was something misconstrued that has just been blown out of proportion. And that maybe neither Katie or Gretchen had ill intent for the other one, I really don't know. But on that note, I want to continue and say, I've been seeing some comments about this upcoming week's episode, which is we finally get the lie detector test. And if you watched last week, there was a preview that shows Kiki Monique sitting down with Gina and Gretchen to discuss this whole thing. And Bravo releases little sneak peek clips and stuff in the days leading up to these episodes. And I saw one over the weekend that was it was Kiki Monique arriving to meet Gina and Gretchen at lunch. Okay. And of course, they immediately start talking about everything. And I went to the comments and the replies and the quote tweets and all that stuff because I looked on a couple platforms. And it was so upsetting to see a majority of the comments not only you want to be upset with the situation. A lot of people are saying Housewives have jumped the ship. The moment that we're bringing in outside, cast members to talk about he said, she said, did they do this? Did they not do this? And this is someone that is, knowingly a part of the fandom as a creator and reporter. And they're just saying it feels too weird. I'm not mad at that. That I can agree with. What I cannot agree with is people blaming this on Kiki. People blaming this on the bloggers. And meanwhile, nobody wrote a blog since, 2002. Hear me when I say this is not Kiki's fault. If you are annoyed with this storyline, if you are annoyed with the rehashing of something 15 years ago, if you are annoyed with the fact that there's constantly a cast member that is seemingly off camera that's being discussed in this situation, which is Kiki, because she's involved in every conversation so far. Blame anyone but her, okay? Because there are a team, a plethora of creative individuals with proven track records on storylines and creating programs whose job it was to create a show out of what was going on this year, okay? The fact that people want to blame this on her, and people are talking about her being clout chasing, and people are, saying, oh, well, she's getting the attention she wants and da-da-da-da-da-da. What's wrong with y'all? She's not the one getting a 6-figure paycheck from NBC, 7-figure paycheck, to go out here and spew crap. Instead, she's the one getting tossed into it because the women that are getting paid those 6- and 7-figure paychecks couldn't sit down and come up with something creative enough with these production teams. Instead, they rely on outside sources. It's not fair. And I think that also, I'm sorry, but as consumers of, content created by Bravo content creators, and I think that it's so disheartening for people to have that attitude and message in regards to Kiki, who's literally, in my opinion, one of the most fair, unproblematic, kindest content creators that this niche has. So instead of maybe trashing her and putting her down in what is probably an already stressful situation that she's been thrown into, if you're going to have that attitude, put it towards the people who get paid to create the show, the people who get paid to put their lives on the show, not the people who had nothing else going on so that we have to tie some sort of rumor in with the situation that happened before Jesus was born in order to make a storyline. And I'm not talking crap because, baby, I'm already sitting on the couch waiting for Thursday. I love it. I'm into it. But at the same time, it is frustrating that all this stuff that I'm into and entranced by, that when I really think about it, I'm like, we're still talking about the same damn thing from 2003. Not really 2003. I'm just being sarcastic. But I'm just saying all that to say, I really hope that people think about this differently and make the decision that if they're going to vocalize frustrations as viewers of the show, by all means, for the love of God, don't put it on Kiki or any other blogger or content creator that has been involved in these situations in the past or will be involved in these situations in the future. Because as someone who just enjoys creating content, as I'm sure these other people do in this community, the last thing that any of us ever signed up for this for is to be thrown into this mess. We're viewers and enjoyers of it at home like y'all. And so for there to be situations that she's thrown in, I think that the least we could do is support her and hope for the best, because it's not her fault. It's not her fault. Done. Moving on. We're going to go to the East Coast, which is where we're going to wrap up this lovely live today. Starting with Real Housewives of New York. Sonja Morgan. The Townhouse, baby. Have you heard? It is literally exclusively, Page 6 exclusively reported it. It is officially a sober living facility. I don't know if it's like in action. Like, I don't know if there are already, patients there, or if this is just something that has been officially, agreed upon, and they're making moves to do so. I do not know that context. However, it has been confirmed that the Townhouse will be a sober living facility. Now, remember, Sonja did sell it in like an auction or something. So does that mean the people that bought it are turning it into the sober living facility, or did they turn around and sell it? Either way, it'll be the first time a sober person has ever been in those four walls. So that's good. We can agree on that. I'm Apparently also too, I saw comments that said some of the neighbors are livid with it. But I'm like, again, back to putting the blame on the right person. It's not her fault, you know? Maybe if y'all had helped her pay those bills when she needed it, she wouldn't have to sell it. Poor Sonja, man. I feel like Sonja is like, there's those housewives that we as Bravo fans, I feel like collectively all root for and hope the best for, no matter how much we may disagree on other things. Sonja is one of those. Kim Richards, one of those, you know? Always want the best for Sonja, and I do wish that if the people that bought this from her then turned around and sold it for even more money, I wish that she would have had that idea, you know? But what? At least she's out of the townhouse, you know? That's all we wanted. She needed to start a new chapter, so good for her, good for her. Speaking of new chapters, I am in my accountability era, and I might be miserable about this later, but I need to apologize to Jackie Goldschneider from Real Housewives of New Jersey, because listen, as y'all know, I'm a loyal Tre Hugger through and through. People say this like it's an issue, like you only like people Teresa likes, you don't like people Teresa doesn't like. It's called being loyal. Okay. And that is made easy when the people that your favorite housewife doesn't like do nasty things. Okay. And so it was easy for me to be anti-Jackie for multiple seasons while I was standing firmly in support of my girl. I'm here to apologize because we know that Jackie had like a change of heart when it came to Teresa and Louis, and like Teresa and Jackie actually seem to be pretty chill now. But it came out, Us Magazine reported that Jackie actually defended Louis in court she wrote a declaration written by Jackie in support of Louis and his ex and the whole restraining order and all that stuff, and basically said, I'm going to read you what her letter said. It said, I'm providing an affidavit in support of Louis' motion for contempt against Vanessa. I'm a former attorney, and prior to meeting her, I became aware that Louis and Vanessa had a romantic relationship that ended abruptly. Following the conclusion of their relationship, Louis began dating my cast member, which eventually led to their marriage. She said that Vanessa reached out to her and other cast members, including Margaret Joseph, so it seems Margaret was mentioned in this, and said that she often made derogatory statements about Louis to her during our interactions. We spoke multiple times via text and phone, where she identified herself as his ex-fiance and frequently made negative comments about him. Though I was initially sympathetic to her, she exploited my vulnerability and kindness and sought to leverage our interactions to criticize Louis. As a result, I invited her to my home in 2021, during which time she made further comments about Louis, and during our conversations portrayed herself as a victim and consistently characterized Louis as a narcissist. She recounted stories about the relationship that portrayed him in a negative light. I believe that her actions and statements are in direct violation of the terms of consent of the consent order between her and Louis. So, Jackie, the woman that you are, you know, listen, I'm just saying, I don't think that it's easy for anyone to be so. I mean, I can't even come on here and say I was wrong about a housewife. For Jackie to have admitted that publicly, that, you know, like she was wrong, and now that her and Teresa are cool now and, you know, moving forward, but then to, even without people knowing maybe that this was going to become public, to just be willing to take, you know, to say, oh, I guess, you know, maybe I was wrong on that. And then to also support Louis, that is so nice. Regardless of where you stand, where you think on them, I just think that as a housewife, as a person, as a human, to, you know, to go back and basically say everything I had thought before was wrong, and I want to, so wrong that I am willing to do this. Now we just need to get attorney Goldschneider to the Bravo executive courtroom and have her fight that case, if you know what I'm saying. And also on this stuff, maybe Jackie could be like a good friend of in the reboot. She could. I don't think it's going to happen, but, you know, I think it would be good. Just my opinion. All right, everybody, we're going to wrap up. I hope y'all had fun. I had fun. And let's see, KM, I can't wait to see Kiki on our screens. Me either. Kiki's not going to take putting these take putting these women putting their lies on her ridiculous. She is a scapegoat. She is. I completely agree. Yeah, and like, look, I know y'all, maybe my words don't matter, but I kind of hurt my feelings to see that was that, you know, tone and that messaging was being directed towards her. So let's not do that, everybody. Okay. I love y'all. And guess what? This is only live 1 of 3 for the week. So I'll be back Wednesday at 3 p.m. I'll be back Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern, right here on Her Dad's YouTube. And we've got a lot coming up this week. We've got Miami. We've got the lie detector test. We've got Kiki sitting down with the ladies. So lots going on. Buckle up, baby. The little family van ride is going to be bumpy, but a good one. So I love y'all. Be sure that you have a good week. Give a friend some love. Do something that makes you happy. And meet me back here for more gossip on Wednesday. Bye, y'all.